All right, I woke up with this voice, so this is what I've had all day, and it's noon. I thought it would get somewhat better, but it hasn't. So I hope you can hear me. I'll hold the phone close to my mouth. Here's the story about this lady that now can't see us. Several months before Charlie and I moved here, Bev had a tree fall over on the other side of her house in her pond area. And I came over here and cut it up with a chainsaw and threw it on a fire. Well, I did not know this town had what they call burn days. I've never heard of that before. And apparently it's, what is it? Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I think that's what it is. Those are the days you can burn on. Well, I didn't know that. I never heard of that before. So this lady sees me burning, and instead of coming over and saying, hey, if they catch you burning, you'll get in trouble, this is not a burn day, she calls the police on me. So the police show up. I'm standing at the fire, and they show up, and I'm thinking, oh, what a friendly cops coming over here to chat. Oh, yeah. They were cool about it. And I said, look, I don't live here, and I had no idea there was such a thing as a burn day. I didn't know a thing like that existed. So, I have a water hose right here next to it. If you want me to put it out, I'll put it out. And the cop, when he realized that I wasn't purposely violating a city ordinance, he said, don't worry about it, but don't put any more on it. Just let it burn down, which was fine because I had everything I cut up was on the fire. So I let it burn down, and at midnight I went out and I stacked the rest of the wood on the embers, and by the morning it was all burned up. So she called the cops on me then for burning when I wasn't aware that of anything called a burn day, which this lady burns any day she wants, and nobody rats her out. Okay, we moved in, or at least we're preparing to move in, and I just got a message, so I read it, and the lady's trees were hanging over. They were scraping the top of our cars when we came in and out of the driveway. Well, we know what we own. We own right up to the original fence that's there. We found the original survey stakes. We know exactly where our land is. And several years ago, before we bought it, I keep getting a message. She told Beverly, back when Beverly owned it, she told Bev that she wanted to cut a hole in the fence so she could come out her backyard. And Beverly said, no, you can't do that. She said, well, it's my fence. And we all know it's not her fence. But, nobody wants to argue with crazy people. And it didn't matter that she thought it was her fence. So, good Lord. I keep still getting the messages. So she just ignored it and walked away. And that was like 6 or 7 years ago. And all that time, this lady, she talks to this guy and talks to that guy, and everybody knew her. Mama died, not a word. They all knew her husband died, not a word from that lady, not an expression of condolence, nothing. And anyway, she got mad that I cut the trees back so we could, number one, come in and out of our driveway without her limbs scraping the roof of our cars. And number two, I had the two sections of the double wide to get down the road to get in here. So I cut them back even with my fence. And she came out there mad as hell. Hold on, I gotta finish this in a minute. And when she's done complaining about me cutting the trees back to the fence line, which I have every right to do. I mean, who lets their trees get that far out of hand that they drag on top of your neighbor's cars? So anyway, when she was done complaining about that, she starts complaining about Beverly's dogs barking at her, and it steals her joy in her yard. Well, Beverly has inside dogs, like mine. They spend 90% of their day inside on a couch napping, and when they go outside, it's to pee or poop, and then they want right back in. So, for 30, 40 minutes of the day, the dogs may be out, and the lady's complaining about, an occasional dog barking at her, and it's just going on from there. So anyway, we get this fence delivered and set, on that side of the driveway where it's going. And about a week later, with it sitting there, she texts Beverly, and she says, "What are y'all doing back there?" That's all. Just that. And Beverly said, "We're putting up a privacy fence." And the lady didn't answer. And, if the lady wasn't such a mean old lady, I'd go over there and help her clean up her yard. But she's, I think she's a very miserable person. And she can't find a way to be happy. And, there are people that, if they can't find a way to find happiness in life, the only satisfaction they get is to try and heap misery upon other people who come in contact with them. And I really think that's what this lady's problem is. And I feel sorry for her. I'd like to be neighborly and friendly and helpful, but that's not what she wants. So anyway, this guy, I went over and told him what our plans were, to put a fence up, privacy fence, just to, what I said was just to keep our dogs from barking at people. And he has a dog, and it barks. It doesn't bother me. Anyway, just being neighborly. Went over there, so he didn't have a problem with it. This lady called the cops on us for putting a fence up on our property. The cops come over here, and they say, "What is your problem with that lady?" And actually, the cop was talking to Bev, and Bev said, "I wasn't aware there was a problem." The cop said, "Well, she says that you're trying to block her exit out of her backyard." And by that time I got over there, I said, "Her exit to where? My driveway? On my property?" And he says, "Well, she is convinced that this is city property." And I said, "Well, she's completely wrong. I can show you where our property stakes are and everything." And I did. I walked him over there to the corner. I showed him that property stake. I showed him the property stake over here. And then my wife came in the house. And since we haven't, we were able to locate our land plat immediately because we're still dealing with taxes and stuff like that. She brings the land plat out there and shows it to the cop. And it clearly shows our border is the fence and the city road ends at our gate. It says that right on the land plat. So he goes back over there and he tells her that we own the property. And she's not happy at all. So he comes back and he talks a little bit more about her wanting to change her address to the street we live on. And I said, "Well, sir, she wouldn't be able to change her address to this street. If she came out of her backyard, her address would be Brad's driveway, which I'm not going to let her do." So he goes back over there for the last. He tells me, he said, "Okay, I see what's going on, and I can see the land plat clearly says it's your property. Just continue what you were doing." And we're sitting on. By now we're sitting on Bev's front porch, watching this all go down. It goes back around to her house, pulls in her driveway, and I can hear elevated voices, hers, not his. And then he leaves. So we think, okay, well, it's over. And about 30 minutes later, an old man about her age comes over. And they're talking really loud, and they're walking up and down the fence. And still, we're not saying anything. We have had absolutely no words with these people. The only words have been this lady telling us how unhappy she is with everything we've done. And we're just, yes ma'am, no ma'am, sorry you feel like that, that kind of stuff, you know. So they call the cop again. This time it's a different cop. And I think he's the shift commander because he's got the big fancy SUV with tinted windows and all that. So anyway, he pulls in their driveway, and again, more elevated conversation between her and this old man that's there. And about 20 minutes later, the cop gets in his car and takes off really fast like he's mad. And that was the end of it. So I am so completely, that evening, I guess she thought we were inside. Me and my wife were sitting here drinking coffee. And I look up, and she's walking through her woods right up to the fence on the phone complaining to somebody about us putting a fence up. And then she looked over and saw me looking at her. And she turned around, walked back to her house. So I think that's the end of it. Well, today my wife and I drove. We just wanted to see what you can see over here on our property. So we drove around on her street, and we drove up here and around the back of our house. And we're pretty satisfied with the lack of visibility from that road, which is where all the bad folks live back that way. And when we drove back, I looked over at that lady's house, and she has no windows or curtains or blinds. And I just happened to see her, of all things, standing in front of her window, sharpening a knife. That kind of freaked me out.
I really think she saw us drive by. I really do.
You think?
She knows your truck. She's looked over here.
Yeah. Well,
She knows your truck.
well. Anyway,
She was making a statement.
that's the story of the crazy old lady, and I hope to God she is out of our life.
And
We
all
just
the
want to live
towns-
quietly and peacefully with no drama. I want to get along with my neighbors, and but she's someone who is determined to not get along, and everything you do, no matter what, irritates her and bothers her, and she wants you to stop or change or what.
Did you tell him that all the townspeople call her a witch?
Yeah, Bev used to have a guy that worked for her, and he told us that some of the folks in this town call her a witch. Think that she's a witch, which who knows what, if that's true or not. If I have any weird warts coming out on my body or something, who knows?
An eye of newt comes flying over the fence, you'll know.
The other day we seen her leave and come back, and I said to my wife, yeah, she had to go replenish her stock of eye of newt and wing of bat. All right, that's all. I'm never going to mention this old lady again, unless I see her little gray head peeking over my fence.
And I wish you'd quit calling her an old lady. She's not as old as I am.
Well, she acts old, baby.
Well, I mean, okay, but give me a break here. She's not as old as I am.
Okay,
She doesn't even
she's
look
not
as
a
old
little
as I
old
am.
lady. She's not. She's a young lady in her
There you
60s.
go. Stop calling people old.